Time for a little combat practice. Welcome to Aftermath. Aftermath is what I've elected to call my haven over here at Stonewall. I've called it this because it basically is the result of my escape from Starlight Headquarters. It's the only reason we're really here. One of my goals was to build around the scenery rather than spending a whole lot of time trying to plan out where everything's going to go, what everything's going to be made out of, stuff like that. As you can see, the kind of build style of Aftermath is going to be very, not run down, but archaic, very vintage, very stone-based, which I suppose matches the theme of Stonewall. It kind of has a little play on words there. I've got my enchanting room set up and ready to go. Of course, we did that last session. And I've got my mine here, which is where I do all my mining. It's where I've been doing all my stone mining to gather all the stone. You can see here that the build is very much based around circumstance rather than the other way around. So these chests, these random chests that I put here last session, I haven't moved these, and I probably won't move them. Because the whole point is to document the aftermath, you know. When I got here, how did it look, what did I do, where did I randomly place my stuff? This is where it was, and so I want to kind of preserve that piece of history and meaning with the base. Over here, I've done my storage unit. You'll notice that I did want to keep a sort of aesthetic style to the base, which is why I've used such elements as fire for lighting. And I've also made an architectural decision in doing really high walls, which, as you can see, are not quite finished. This area is not quite done. If we head into the potion brewing room, you can see the same architectural design. I've got these really high walls with different kind of designs with the stone. Speaking of different stone designs, down here I've done a bit of a different configuration with the stone slabs. I kind of like it. I think I might continue with it as we complete this base area. But I don't know, I'm just really experimenting with different stone. You know, I'm working with the materials that I've got, because that's kind of the idea of this base, is kind of working with what I got, because I really don't have much to work with. You'll also notice that I've removed that giant hole on the outside that provided no security whatsoever, in lieu of another, much larger giant hole that has absolutely no security whatsoever. I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep this here, because honestly, again, the point is to make it seem archaic. There is no such thing as an archaic structure that has a redstone operated door, or an electrically powered door. There's no such thing. So I think I'm going to keep it here. The real singular purpose of Aftermath, though, is none other than to simply provide a haven for which I can store materials to prepare for my mob farm that I'm going to be building here at Stonewall. And that mob farm is none other than the underwater monstrosity that is this giant ocean monument. You see, when I first found Stonewall several years ago, I saw this setup and I thought there's a potential possibility that I could build a farm out of this. Now, at the time, I didn't really have any knowledge of how to do that or what I was doing. But circumstances evidently have kind of pulled everything together here, you know, now that fate has brought us back to this Stonewall. It feels like the right time to do that, especially because right now we kind of need everything that such a farm would provide. It would provide us endless food, lots of different building blocks that I happen to enjoy. I love those blue rocks. It's also gonna, I believe it will also provide black dye. If we get squid spawning in there too, that would be really nice, wouldn't it? Plus, it could have the potential of being the most efficient experience farm in this world, if I build it right. Now, again, with all of these great things comes a lot of hard work. So I've taken a lot of steps in preparing Aftermath, so that way we kind of have the preparation already under control. Now, I have done a lot of stone mining underground. At Y11, I have started this new method of mining in which I just mine out large chunks of stone, as you can see here. And these chunks, I leave all the ores I find, and then I could just go back and hack all the ores later. But this way I get a large amount, and that's how I was able to generate enough stone to fill nearly 2 large chests of stone brick, because we're going to need all that. We're going to be building the wall surrounding the ocean monument first, and we need to build that out of stone brick. Now, I have taken extra precautions going into this project because, again, never done this. I have no idea what to expect. It is a big project, but I think it's good because it's going to provide me with something meaningful to do here at Stonewall, you know? I don't just want to waste my time or my life away hoping and just thinking about what the council is doing at Starlight headquarters or anything like that, you know? I feel like I just need to focus on the future, and that's kind of going to be my goal here. Working on this farm will not only provide me a lot of stuff, but it's going to give me something meaningful to do here at Stonewall. It's going to be a way to turn a negative thing into a positive thing, because as you know, Stonewall is kind of not a very positive symbol in Quintropolis history. So I suppose that in a way I'm kind of trying to change that. So without further ado, let's dive into the belly of the beast. I've been working on this wall for several hours now, and I must say that there is something therapeutic about it. It's kind of a chance for me to reflect on the decisions I've made in my life leading up to this point, and all that kind of weird, juicy jazz, you know. A lot of times when I'm working in Quintropolis, or I specifically when I was back at Starlight headquarters building things, I kind of had the mindset of how can I make this better? You know, how can I basically do more than what I can do now? With this wall, however, I'm kind of having a different mindset. It's more of, I'm not focused so much on improving anything, because at this point, it's just about survival. It's about kind of making the most of what I have now, even if I don't have much. It kind of goes back to the beginning of the beginning of Quintropolis when I spawned. Only in this case, I do have a bit more experience with working in Starlight headquarters, so I'm a little bit more willing or able to take on these larger projects, such as a wall, right at the start. Again, I don't have a lot of resources, and that's actually good, because it means that I can go into this project with more of a renewed mindset. You see, if I had everything, and this is something I learned from Starlight headquarters, is that sometimes having everything takes the fun out of the projects, because working within limitations is not only good for improving discipline, but it also helps to improve creativity, I think. You know, because sometimes endless options can be your enemy. And so something that I'm learning with this project and this wall is that even though from a creative standpoint there isn't a whole lot to talk about here, it is a chance for me to kind of think and reflect on these things, like I'm doing right now. I've tried lots of different tactics with this wall. I've tried doing the approach where I start building from the bottom, and I do like 4 blocks at a time up, which works in some cases. The problem is when the Guardians get on, they swim to the other side of the wall and they see me, it becomes problematic, and I basically have to move to the other side of the wall or wherever else I'm working. Another tactic I've tried, as you see here, is just moving along the bottom ridge and working downward. And this is good in a way because I'm constantly moving, and because I'm constantly moving, I'm not in range of the Guardians long enough for them to hurt me. The only problem with this, though, is if a Guardian is poised at one of the corners and I'm moving around the corner, you can see how that would be a problem, because it wouldn't exactly work. Now, having said that, I chose a good time to do this because there aren't a lot of Guardians spawning over here in this area, so I thought, okay, this would be the best thing to do. And I think that as long as I'm staying alert, if I keep moving, it doesn't really matter where I am or how I do it, as long as I keep moving, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. And I don't know, I think that this project is, because this is only the first part of this massive project, I think this is a great way to kick off my new life here at Stonewall. But more than that, I do think it will be a great way for me to take a step back and kind of think of things from a new light, reflect on, maybe things I could have done differently. Like maybe I didn't do anything wrong before, but perhaps there could have been a way for me to do the same thing better. And when I say better, I'm not talking about more efficiently, with less resources, that type of thing. I'm not talking about it from a materialistic standpoint even. I mean better from the perspective of my goals. Even though when I first arrived here last session, I was a little bit on edge and confused, and, building this wall is helping me to refocus my energies, and it is giving me a little bit of clarity. And just like that, the wall is complete. I surprised myself a little bit with that. I didn't think I'd get it done in just a few hours, but I did. The wall is done. The first part of this project is complete, and it looks beautiful, absolutely marvelous. Now comes the next step. We get to raid the monument, and then we get to tear it down. Talk about confronting fear.